All right. All right, you guys. Well, good morning. It is exactly 9 in the morning. So thank you guys, everybody who's on the phone for being on time. I'm sure some people will come on as time goes by. And before we get started on the call, I want to first apologize for last week. I have no excuse other than I completely forgot it was Tuesday. And you guys, nobody called me. Nobody texted me hey, what's going on with the call? So that evening I was I don't know what I was doing. And then I'm oh, today's Tuesday, the call. So anyhow, I just want to clean that up and apologize. You guys, I'm super, super sorry. Completely lost track of the days. But anyhow, as this call is about commitment, I'm committed to these calls, so I'm I need to clean that up. So anyhow, before we get started on the call, I just want to, first of all, I want to just take maybe a couple of minutes just to recap, or not recap really, but just really get present to what it is that we're doing on these calls, you guys. One of the things that I really want to express to you, and by no means is this, here, let me say it like this. The reason why we're doing these calls is because so many people were asking for me to share not only what I'm, doing with USC, but what I'm doing with Landmark. And I've definitely taken some time to, record these calls and do what we need to do, because my commitment is really to be able to share with you guys what it is that I have been doing and teaching and things like that. Having said that, okay, and I'm only sharing this with you, by no means am I attached to anything, okay? So today's call is about, are we committed or are we attached to a result? And the reason why I chose this topic today is because this is something that we have been dealing with at Landmark, but also it was something that I started to have to look at for myself with these calls. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying this is because when we first started these calls, and this is something that happens as human beings, okay, so I'm not making you wrong, but I'm just really wanting to get you present to something, and that is, as human beings, so many times we start something and we start it with full force. We start something, we get really excited. These calls at the beginning, we had a great turnout. Tons of people were connecting. People were, listening to the recorded calls. We were all really engaged in the conversation. And it's not a coincidence that last week, it isn't coincidence, but it's not a coincidence that last week I forgot that it was Tuesday, okay? And in the report that I saw, I noticed that there were only about 2-3 people that connected without the reminder. And again, I'm not bringing this to your attention as a make wrong. I'm bringing this to your attention as to what is it that we do that when we start something, we started so excited, right? We're super committed to whatever it is that we're starting. But then when time goes on, we start to relax on certain things, okay? And so again, I'm going to continue doing these calls because I'm really committed. Even if one person listens to these calls, that one person is committed to changing their life, and I'm committed to contributing to that 1%. But I'm bringing this to your attention, especially for those of you who are listening to these calls and are recorded or a re-recorded call, and that is really take a look at what is it that you do. Well, I shouldn't say that. And look at the different areas of your life and start looking at how is it that you start things full force? Okay, I'm going to do this, right? Let's say the products, your weight. Let's say your business. Let's say working out. Let's say your relationships, whatever it is, your fit camp, boot camp, anything, right? You start gosh, this is it. I'm really going to do this. Then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, the commitment starts dropping and you start lighting up. Oh, well, maybe not today. Oh, well, maybe not today. And listen, I'm not going to lie. That happens to me. Actually, it's been happening to me a lot lately, which is why I decided to do this call. Because when you teach, you're really teaching yourself. And so I want you, before we get started on this conversation of are you committed or are you attached to a certain result, I want you to first pick an area of your life right now in your mind and think about what is something that you really feel that you're committed to, or that you want to be committed to, or that you think, oh, yeah, I'm really committed to my health, or I'm really committed to losing weight, or I'm really committed to my business, or I'm really committed to my relationships, or I'm really committed to my fit camp turning out or getting to the next level. Whatever it is, I want you to take a moment and pick that area of your life. Okay? Just get present to that for a second. Okay, so hopefully you got it. Okay? And I want you to start looking at what is it that, how have you been for the last, what are we in, March? For this month of March. Today is the 25th. So how have you been these last 25 days in this area of commitment? Okay, I'm going to pick mine, okay, and rate yourself from 1 to 5. Now, I, in this area, would give myself a 2, okay? Now let's start looking at what does it mean to be committed. Because here's the thing, you guys, we can say one thing, but our actions and our what we're doing could be a complete different thing, okay? Now, so let's first, before we start defining, like, are you committed or are you attached? I'm going to first give you the definition, and then we're going to develop this context. So here we go. So the first thing is you want to look at, when you're committed to something, so let's first look at the definition of being attached. When you're attached to something, you've got this certain expectations of how it needs to look. In the words of my friend Sam, you've got this imagination of how it should be, and you've got this picture of how, like the picture perfect of how it should look, okay? And what happens is, let's just say you want to do your business, okay, and you're committed to getting to the next level, so you think that you're committed. And you invite 10 people to your HOM, and they don't come. And instead of you thinking like, oh, my God, okay, what could I do different next time? You know, should I get on the phone? And let me hear this out, being cause in the matter of your life, meaning you are at the steering wheel of your life called your business. And instead of thinking, okay, let me get on the phone and call these people and see if they're on their way. Let me confirm with them if they're coming. And you do those extra things in order for you to get the result. You instead sit there and pout and cry and moan and go, oh, my gosh. And you get all these feelings involved into your business. And you start feeling like, oh, my gosh, people are such flakes. Oh, my gosh, I can't believe it. This business is no good. I'm no good. And you start feeling depressed and maybe start feeling anxious or start feeling angry. You have loss of power. You feel like upset. You're like, oh, like a 5-year-old little kid stomping your feet. Like, I can't believe this. That is being attached because it's not looking the way you want it to look. You're attached to the result, and you feel disempowered. Now, when you have commitment, I'm not saying that you're not going to be a little disappointed, like, oh, man, I can't believe it didn't come, okay? But that disappointment lasts like 30 seconds because your commitment is so strong that in that moment, instead of you sitting in the chair at the HOM, pouting, moaning, crying about like, oh, my God, I can't believe nobody showed up, instead of you being attached, you get committed, like you pout for like 30 seconds, and you're like, all right, man, I can't believe nobody showed up. Oh, well, okay, boom. And then you get recommitted to your result, and you think, what can I do to get a different result? And then all of a sudden your mind starts to think about, okay, well, you know what? Where's that list of the guests that I invited? Maybe they have the wrong address. And you start calling them, hey, Joe, this is Karla. I just want to confirm, that you're on your way. Hey, Joe, I just want to make sure that you're all right. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. I couldn't make it. My dog ran out the backyard, and I have to find him. Oh, okay, no problem, Joe. I tell you what, not a problem. Thank you so much for being in communication. We're going to be having another wellness introduction to wellness coaching on Thursday at the same time. Can I confirm for you at that time? Yes. Okay, great. Okay, I'll call you I'll call you Thursday just to give you a quick confirmation that you're on that you're going to be coming. All right, great. See, that's what it looks like to be committed. You get on the court in action in order to accomplish the result. Okay, so you start thinking. So again, the difference between being attached is that when you're attached, you have loss of power. You start like moaning and crying. I mean, I'm kind of exaggerating, right? You're not going to sit there and cry. I don't know, maybe you would. Okay, but the point is, when it doesn't look like you want it to look, you have all these feelings, and you let the feelings of your what you think is commitment, of your attachment to this result, take over and check you out of the game. That's when you're attached to something that does not serve you. And that is why a lot of people quit. That is why a lot of people feel defeated, because they're not committed. They're totally attached to a result. When you're committed, there are 4 things that are in place. Number 1, so here we go, okay? And that is, your commitment has all heart. Okay, and here's why athletes are so, when you have a professional athlete, for example, versus an amateur athlete, that professional athlete is all commitment. They are committed to their sport. They're committed to their team. Okay, this is something athletes, and most of you guys have a little athletic background, maybe when you're in high school, college, something like that. Think back of a moment when you were committed to something. You were your heart was invested in it, okay? So it takes something, like if you want something to look good and to look great, not look good, to have a good result and to have great results, you've got to have your heart invested. So you want to look into your heart to see, am I really committed to this? Okay? So number 1, for you to have commitment, you've got to have your heart's invested in it, meaning you're like, it means something to you. Okay? Otherwise, it won't last. You can superficially be invested in something, but when you're committed, it means your heart is in it. Number 2, commitment is tested by action. Okay? The only real measurement of commitment is you being in action. Like as Jim Rohn says, don't be on the fence, okay? Jump. Whether it's to the right, you're like, oh, should I make to the right? Do I want to go to the left? You know what? Just jump. Last night I was in class at Landmark, and I love what our coach said. She said, just swing. Just swing the bat. You don't know, I don't know, how should I swing? How does it look? Should I swing like this? Should I swing like that? What would be the best way to hit the ball? Just swing. And in the swing, you can then make the adjustments. Like, okay, you know what? I got to swing a little bit more like this. I got to swing a little more like that. So when you're committed, you are in action. See, here's the thing, and I love this quote. It says, it's easy saying words. That's the easiest thing, to just say words. What's not easy, okay, what's harder is living them. So it's easy to just say words like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to take 10 people to the HOM. I'm committed to this. I'm committed to that. That is the easy part, is you saying those words. What's challenging is living them day after day, okay? So I want you to start looking at, how are you doing on following through on your commitments? Are you in action? Are you in action? Number 3, commitment opens the door to achievement, okay? And this is so great. I love this part because here's the thing. Commitment opens the door to achievement. Yes, you got to have your heart invested. You've got to, be in action. But when you are committed, okay, you will be faced with your life and your business. You will be faced with plenty of obstacles and opposition. If you haven't already, you will. Listen, you guys, I'm so clear now more than ever. I've been sharing with you guys on these calls that last year, 2013, was a year that I literally put like a pause on a lot of things because I really needed to take a look within. Like, what am I really committed to? What do I really want with my life? And through this last year, one of the things that I'm so crystal clear on is that life is full of obstacles. And if you think that you're going to get to the next level whether it's in your body or your business, if you even think for a minute that you're going to get to that next level without obstacles, you're in for a surprise. And I'm telling you this because I will confess that for a long time, I lived a life where things were peachy keen. Like I was like, oh, in a little bubble, everything's perfect. And you know what? Like one of the hardest things to come to realization with, and many of you guys are probably thinking I'm like on crack or something, but here's the thing, you guys, I really thought, like no kidding, lived in a bubble. And this last year, that bubble, maybe not last year, 2012, the end of 2012, that bubble was bursted. And I took off these glasses that had me see everything pink. And all of a sudden I saw it as it really was. Not better, not worse, like, oh my gosh. And I really got present to how humans, as a human being, especially when I went to go see the Dalai Lama, I really got present Dalai Lama when he was talking about all human beings suffer. All of us. And I'm telling you one thing, you will be faced with obstacles and opposition, but here's what I want you to get present to, that is only through commitment, commitment is the only thing that will carry you through and push you forward. It is your commitment to your business that when 10 people said that they're going to come and they don't come, you are committed to your business and not attached, and you're committed and you push forward, meaning you push yourself, you pull yourself to keep going. If you don't have commitment, you will be checked out of the game. First bump on the road, you'll be checked out. I'm telling you because it happened to me. I'm like not at all ashamed to tell you that, last year was an interesting year. The last year and a half has been an interesting year for me. And there were a couple of obstacles that came on the road for me. And because of my lack of commitment, they checked me out of the game. Okay? And here's the thing, you guys. It happens to us all. But for some reason, we feel like we're like the only ones out there that deal with these situations. Look, it's fine that you are present to it so that you can move forward and reestablish your commitment. Put your heart into it. Take action and know that the commitment that you have on this thing, whether it's your business, your body, your relationships, your spirituality, whatever it is, that is what's going to open the doors to achievement. Okay? And I love this quote. It says, commitment is the enemy of resistance, for it is what presses on to get you through. I love it. Here it goes again. Commitment is the enemy of resistance, for it is what presses on to get you through. So if you want to get anywhere worthwhile, you guys, you must have commitment. Lastly, I'm going to tell you, as I was reading this book this morning, I have like all these leadership books, and I was like, okay, one of these books has to talk about commitment. And this book that I came across, it talked about there was 4 types of people when it comes to commitment. And I thought it was really interesting because I know that I have been one of these people. I have been all 4 of them. Let's just say it that way. I've been all 4 of them in different stages of my life. And before I read this, I want you to really stop and take a moment to think about, when have you been each of these, and what was going on in your life? I just got an aha moment for myself. Okay, sorry. What was going on in your life when you were one of these? Okay, so let's go. Number 1. There's 4 types of people with commitment. Number 1, they're the people that cop out. These are the people that have no goals, therefore have no commitment. I know I've been there, and I'm sure you have too. I want you to take a moment and think, when you have been that type of a person, when you have been a cop-out, that you have no goals, therefore no commitment, what was going on in your life? Take a moment and think about, what were you doing? What were you not doing? And more importantly, you guys, who were you hanging out with? Who was your circle of influence? okay? So when you were a cop-out, you had no goals and no commitment, okay? Since there's a lot of you guys do Herbalife, I'm going to tell you, perhaps it was right before you found the business. Maybe you were like scratching your belly, watching TV, 30 pounds overweight. You had no goals, no commitment because you were by yourself. I'm telling you one thing, you guys. Most of the time when I've been in cop-out, that I have no goals and no commitment, I have been a loner. I have been home by myself, not interacting with the world, not interacting with my family, not interacting with my friends. I've been totally by myself. Because here's what happens. In Landmark, we call it the act. In other words, it's that stupid little voice, that other thing. If you ever read Eckhart Tolle, he talks about your other self. That other person, the ego, a devilish type of a voice that takes over and starts talking nothing but nonsense and starts telling you how you're no good for this and starts looking at all the darkness in your life. I'm telling you, we all have it. You sit here and you think about, you want to throw a pity party, man, I'm telling you, your brain will think of a million things to be pity party for. So when you are in that cop-out, I know I have been, I can almost assure you, you've been a loner, by yourself, not surrounding yourself with people, choosing not to interact, okay? Or maybe you've been interacting with one particular person that, man, forget the devilish voice. That person is your devilish voice. That person's the one that's telling you, oh, you're no good. Are you kidding me? You're going to do this thing? Come on, eat that extra cake or whatever that person says to you to check you out, and you have no commitment and no goals. So that's the first one, okay? So start thinking about, when have you been these people or this person? What was going on in your life? Number one, cop out. No goals, no commitment. Number two, these are the people that hold out. That people that you don't know if you can achieve your goals, so they are afraid to commit. Like, you hold out. These are the people that at this moment, I know I've been there, where I've held out, like, well, I don't know if I could really, set that goal, so I'd rather not say anything. I don't know if I could really X, Y, Z, so I'd rather not commit. That is a holdout. Think about when you have been that person. What was going on in your life? Who were you hanging out with? What was going on? Let's take a moment to think about that. When were you holding out? That you knew that you didn't know if you could achieve a goal, so you instead didn't commit. And maybe when you were that person, you were surrounding yourself with people. Let's just say that your goal was to get in the best shape of your life. And you wanted to say, like, I'm going to get a six-pack this year. But you don't know if you can really get it, so you don't commit. Think about who you were around. Maybe you were around people that also didn't have six-packs. Maybe you were around people that ate whatever because they had the attitude of, oh, man, you only live once. You might as well enjoy it. Maybe you were surrounding yourself with people that are constant drinkers, eating not healthy food, okay? Think about that. I'm telling you guys, I'm so clear that you are a product of your environment. Number three, it's a person, it's a dropout. I've been there too, okay? And this is the person that starts a goal, but then quits when the going gets tough. You start something, and this is one of the things that why I started this call about the commitment on these calls. So many of you guys were like, full force in your team. You were promoting these calls to your team. You were on top of it, right? And then all of a sudden you dropped the ball. You got relaxed. That's number three. You start a goal, and then you kind of quit when the going gets tough. Or it doesn't even have to get tough. You just like, whatever, get easy about it and quit. And I'm going to share with you guys something that this will help you, especially if you've got a team of people underneath you in your business, or you have employees or whatever, you have a family, all that, okay? As we have been talking about in these calls over and over again, and that is be present, be mindful, pay attention, okay? Last night or just for my landmark class, and we have a coaches meeting. And every week we meet with our participants and things like that, right? Each coach has 4 or 5 participants, and 4 participants, sorry. And so then when we get together, you know, we have a binder where we like declare who we are. We declare our intentions. Like there's a whole process of generating the classroom. And so we meet at 6, so that when the participants come, the coaches are all aligned and on the same wavelength, if you will. And this girl raises her hand and says, hey, listen, I just want to restore my integrity. I don't have my binder. All of a sudden, hands started coming up. Me neither, right? 4 or 5 coaches did not have their binder. Now, you might be thinking like, all right, well, no big deal, right? Here's what I got last night. This is what I learned last night from my leader. Her name is Rosanna, by the way. She's like amazing. And Rosanna all of a sudden says, who else doesn't have their binder? They start raising their hands. And she's like, listen. And she goes off and does this whole thing, which I'm not going to recreate for you. But the bottom line is this is a 20-week course. We've got 4 or 6 weeks left, 6 weeks left. Okay, so we're past the halfway line. And she says, listen, this is what happens. Did any of you at the beginning forget your binder? No. For the first couple of weeks, all the coaches were on it with the binders. They were on time. They were like fully engaged, fully committed to the program. But now that we're coming to the end of it, people have a tendency to be relaxed. More like, oh, it's okay. Oh, I forgot my binder at home. The first week, you bet your butt that coach would have turned around, drove back home, picked up the binder, and made it to class on time with the binder. But now they're like, oh, it's okay. I'll look over on my partner's binder, because we start to get relaxed. And this is what happens. Number 3 is dropouts. It could be something like the going gets tough and you drop out, or it can mean that you start dropping your commitment slowly but surely. Start dropping and you start getting easy. This is what happens with your clients. This is what happens with your distributors. This is what happens with your supervisors. This is what happens to you. This happens to me. It happens to all of us. We've got to be mindful, because we start strong. The client is like 2 shakes, 1 meal, because you're calling them, you're on them, you're following up on them, and then a month later they're like, oh, it's not working anymore. No, it's not that it's not working. It's that they've dropped out on their commitment. So number 3 is drop out. And I'm spending a lot of time there because I think most of us, that's where we live right now in our business and our health, is that we start something and then we start dropping the ball on things. I know I have on so many different occasions. I start something and then things start to occur, and then I get relaxed, and then I get more relaxed, and then I get more relaxed, and then boom, I'm checked out. So you guys pay attention. Start being mindful, okay? Have those little what I call pink, red flags to let you know, hey, we got to pay attention to this with your team, with your distributors, etc. And number 4, and that is the person that's all out. Okay, this is the people that make a goal and do whatever it takes to achieve it. That they do not get stopped. Their commitment, an obstacle comes, and they're present to their commitment, and they push through. Another obstacle comes, they have a commitment, they push through. These are the people that are all out. They're like in it to win it kind of thing, okay? So I want you to look at these 4. We have all been them. We have all been a cop-out. We have all been a person that holds out. We have all been a person that drops out. And we have all been a person that goes all out. So I want you to take a look at this moment in life with that thing that you first picked on the call in the beginning of the call. Where are you? Are you a cop-out, like you're not even having any goals, any commitments? Are you holding out like I want it but I don't declare it? Are you a dropout where you start and then you ease up and drop out? Or are you like in it to win it? You're all out. Okay, and here's what I want you to do. The only way you know how things are going is by measuring it. So I'm going to invite you. This is the homework for the week, just to end on the call. And that is, I want to invite you to start keeping track of what you're doing every day. Okay? And that is in your notebook, in a calendar, or just in a piece of paper. At the end of the day, take inventory. Write down like, okay, today I worked out, so boom, I had my commitment with that. You know, I had my rebuilt strength when I got back. I'm on with my meal plan, and you start looking at what are you doing, and that way you can start noticing where are you investing your time, your energy, and your resources. Because if you say that you want to get in the best shape of your life, but it's been a week that you haven't stepped in the gym and you haven't been consistent with your shakes and you haven't been drinking the water. Look, I'm going to confess to you guys, last week I hardly had any water. I was like, I feel so sluggish. I'm like, you know what? I need to do a cleansing. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to drink water, So here's the thing, you guys. It's a matter of stopping and not analyzing, but noticing where are you? What are you doing? Because so many times we can get lost and think we're on track, but our actions are completely off the track with where we want to go. So with that said, you guys, I'm going to end the call, but I'm going to open up the lines for questions and answers in case you guys want to say anything. But hold on a second because I'm going to just stop the recording. 1 minute.